Welcome back. You're still watching Citizen TV. This is indeed Power Breakfast, the news review. So the hashtag to use this hour is hashtag Power Breakfast. My Twitter handle is at Freddy Ndimuli. You can also tweet us at Citizen TV Kenya. I'm here with Yusuf Hassan, MP Kamukunji. You are on Twitter. What's your Twitter handle?
MP Yusuf Hassan.
At MP Yusuf Hassan on Twitter.
At Real Onyango Olo.
At Real Onyango Olo.
At Senator Kajwang.
At Senator Kajwang.
At Kabando.
At Kabando. Just at Kabando. Okay. We continued our news review this morning, and we now want to look at what's headlining on the Standard and just look at it in relation to the fact that it's 34 days to the election. Yes? And the biggest headline on the Standard on the front page, Raila's word that hints at taking the back seat. NASA candidate who is on his fourth stab at the presidency says that after this election, it will be Kalonzo's turn and he will support him to the hilt. Already a promise of what's going to happen in 2022. On the other side, still on the front page, a highlight about a story on page 10. Starts also as well, 2022, Ruto lures Eugene. Now Ruto's back in Western Kenya and he promised that he'll pick Water Cabinet Secretary Eugene Wamalwa as his running mate. That he plans to run for the presidency with Uhuru's backing. Now, of course, you can read and go deeper into the stories and find out what exactly they were doing there. What is not highlighted here, probably was highlighted yesterday or the day before. President Uhuru Kenyatta is actually on a tour of Ukambani, and on one of those, he even asked Kalonzo Musyoka to join Jubilee with a promise that in 2022 they could work together with DP Ruto. But why are we really discussing 2022 now? Have we exhausted all these things? Have we exhausted the party manifestos? Are we done selling 2017? So that now we're dangling the 2022 carrot, and especially who's going to be whose running mate, or who's going to be running for presidency in 2022. Has it gone to that now we are done with all the issues surrounding this election? Now it's okay, let's look forward.
You know, what is happening is coming. You can have a plain reading of these headlines. One is coming from the casual engagement that one does on the political trail in order to get or placate a target constituency. If you look at that headline, like Raila is speaking to the Kamba nation. He is telling the Kambas, I know you have been raided, because true, I think Jubilee is having an impact in that area, very significantly so. If you look not just at attendance or the numbers, but you know, also political surveys and independent investigations can tell you that. So it's the backyard of the running mate of NASA, and so the NASA presidential candidate is saying, I know you have been told be ready to be in government, and even in 2022 will be with you. Do you note that Kalonzo is not today? If you look at the schedule of the meetings of the main political parties, NASA and Jubilee going around, he is not with his boss today. He has gone back to Mwingi. Today I think Kalonzo is in Mwingi. He is going back to Kitui. So this headline is prepared by Raila for the Mwingi people, so that Kalonzo, listen, so that Kalonzo can have something to tell his local people, his village mate, that see, I'm supporting Raila. Raila is going to retire after 2022, and I'll be the one in charge of this country. So this is very domesticated, and is actually designed completely. So this one is targeting to communicate that. Yes. The other headline, the other sub-headline, 2022, Ruto is speaking from where? He is not speaking from he is not speaking from Nyeri, he is not speaking from Eldoret, he is speaking from Western Kenya. So he is also telling the people of Western Kenya, this is your son, I'll have some space for him tomorrow. Because the opponents are telling the Western people that they are not at the top. Yet also telling them from Jubilee, those who are this side, that you have been promised no next of a prime minister and deputy prime minister of you, so you are just errand boys. So the point is, don't read too much in the headlines. The fact is 2022 is very far away, And anybody giving any assurance or to anybody about 2022 is also doing disservice to this country, in the sense that Hassan, their children 19, 20, 21, are you telling the in making a choice? I'm telling you the dynamics of 2022 are not going to be decided today. And about 2020,
so even the Jubilee promise of what is going to happen in 2022, forget it.
No, you see, the Jubilee is different in terms of the second. I can only not understand about a running mate.
Okay.
Because that decision of a running mate will not be decided by Jubilee now.
Okay.
As much as I'm independent, one can easily understand. You can talk about Ruto succeeding Uhuru, because Uhuru will be completing his second term and constitutionally he cannot run. But as to who becomes the running mate for William Ruto in 2022 is subject to a lot of dynamics.
So we should not listen to Ruto and we should not listen to the president even when he promises.
I agree with Kabando that 2022 the dynamics cannot be predicted now. But this his mandate and for him his obligation to this nation, see to it that we implement the constitution and we put in place a framework that will realize those things that we say in our national anthem. The natukai kwa amani, umoja, undugu, and prosperity be found in this nation. So he's committed to spending the next 5 years to build that platform, to implement the constitution, and to position Kenya for takeoff. So definitely in 2022, we are going to have a new president. Whoever it is going to be, I like the story of Macron, and you know, the kind of fairy tale manner in which he has ascended to the highest office in that nation. In as much as Trump does not inspire me personally, but we must also read the ascent of Trump to the highest office at the expense of people like Hillary Clinton, who were believed to be the presidents in waiting. The history of Kenya is littered with broken dreams. From independence, we felt that Jaramogi was it, the successor. Then came Tom Mboya. Then came Mwai Kibaki. And in Kalonzo's book, written by Kale Batemi, I think the first chapter, it captures the disappointment that he had when he believed that all the odds were for him to the country, for him. So 2022 is still ahead, but on the NASA side, we have given that commitment that Raila will be a one-term president, and in terms of pecking order, right now it is
the same thing, that it's 5 years is too far away. We should not even talk about Raila being a one-term president.
This is
it's a done deal.
This is much more solid than the MOUs that have been signed in the past.
Does it explain
this
about
is much more solid about it?
Because not Yanka, but I would like maybe to ask Kajwang, because it will be a very important statement. I know it has said about Raila. Also is a running. I don't think.
I think the statement of fact was in 2022. If Raila Odinga becomes the president in 2022, we are going to have a new president.
Okay. But not Kalonzo.
Whatever you said is very clear. Be having this discussion that who's going to be running mate. It's 34 days to the elections. Don't we really? Is this election?
let us be clear and that is not out clear, but I think it's meant to hoodwink. It would have been more important.
Years up to the last minute acceptable legally under the IBT rules. I just wanted to quickly take a point. My brother just mentions that we already have a public debt management office. I'm in the budget committee, and we have a very competent office that updates us every month on our national debt, and our parliament is very focused on those issues. So many of the issues that NASA is trying to sell to the public, Jubilee has already started, have done it. They have done it, or they're already doing it very well, and we are continuing to expand on that. But coming to the issue of 2022, I think what the newspapers are reflecting is the public debate. Is that already we know President Uhuru Kenyatta, when he's elected on the 8th, would serve for his last term, and Jubilee and the President have put in a lot of energy to show and indicate that William Ruto would be his successor. There is no dispute within the Jubilee rank and file and leadership that the next person in line for the leadership of Jubilee is William Ruto, an experienced person who would be serving his second term as our deputy president. In the case of NASA, there is absolutely no such a thing. They took several months to decide who would be their flag bearer. Now that they have a flag bearer, there are two other people waiting for the constitution to be changed at a considerable cost. They're going to spend 20 billion shillings to change the constitution to create positions for these old boys, dinosaurs of political dinosaurs, as far as Kenya is concerned, because I have known their names all my life as I grew up in Kenya. people who have failed to transform our country in any way. So it is, the choices are very clear, is that we have a dynamic
Yes. You do not need to change the constitution. You do not need to. In fact, you don't even need to call them premier cabinet secretaries.
So
just call them. Just call them cabinet secretaries.
So no deputy.
The responsibility lies with Parliament, because we're going to spend 20 billion shillings to accommodate Musa Mudavadi.
Process, because it doesn't mean just because Raila you become a president that you're going to use there's a process. Just like the process of Kenya, where they could not meet the threshold, Kenyans may decide after 8th of August that we have made a decision we are not going to need. So this is subject to Kenya. So I want to say two things. Number one, even if NASA says 1,000,000 times that they will change the constitution, the changing of the constitution is a mandate of the Kenyan people, and it doesn't matter what desires you have to fulfill in order to ingratiate or satisfy somebody's ambition. Number two, the promises that have been made about the and we have the deputy president. The other titles, you can call them premier and all that, the fact remains, according to the supreme law of the land, you only have a cabinet secretary.
I think I just want to chip in there. I think you are getting wrong unless the constitution was revised yesterday night. The designation of the offices of the cabinet secretaries is the prerogative of the president. I may as well decide to call you cabinet secretary in charge of wildlife or cabinet secretary in charge of TVs. Nothing unconstitutional. By calling him, the word premier has never been precluded in any of the 260 clauses of that constitution.
It's not there. So they can be.
It has not been.
They can be referred to as a premier.
It has never been precluded, not in the constitution, not in any act of parliament.
It is.
It is not precluded. Let us go on.
I'll
give you a chance.
It is.
The second part. Overhauling the structure of government, for instance, we are not saying that change, if it comes, it is going to affect the positions that have already been alienated to these two gentlemen. That is, the position of NASA has been that for us as a country to move together in unison without these ethnic tensions and rivalries, we would prefer a prime ministerial system. And we accept what Mr. Kabando says, that this is a prerogative of Kenyans. And we are saying that if we have the numbers, we are going to put our case to Kenyans.